Yeah, good. Yeah. I think I should be fine. If you can hear me, I can hear you clearly. Few seconds. Let me just find him here because it's filling up very fast. There we go. I see. Uh, can I get Tom? There we go. There we go. Invite to speak. Okay. All right. No problem. All right. So we might as well just jump right into it. Welcome, captains. Hello there. To the September AMA with Zin, our glorious leader. We're going to jump right in with some of the questions that Tomer collected through the couple of threads. As you've noted, we've had a lot of changes on the Discord in the last few weeks. We're still going to be a few more changes coming in place, but it's all to make it easier to read and everyone to get around and everything like that. So, with that, we're going to kick right off. And this is a question from Small1324. First question on the list. A couple of months ago, we had a poll for favorite crews in PSS1 for players. What were the top crew picks, if you have that information available, Zin? Okay. Let me actually invite to speak. There we go. Okay, well, we'll move on because I think that's something that, I mean, it can even be just published at a later date in the announcements on the Discord.
Yeah,
We have
sorry about that. I'll just jump in real quick. I think that was a poll. It was actually for PSS2. I believe you were just testing the waters at the time. It's quite a while ago now to see which crew to add to PSS2. But we will get the information on that and publicize it. I think it was just a very general check. We're going back like maybe 3 or 4 months now, but it's an interesting question.
yeah, I invited him to speak. Well, there was a lot of questions. We're going to try and get through as many as we can. I have 4 pages of questions printed out here. So there were a lot this month, but something that's been asked by Anna on the Discord was what drove the decision to split development and create PSS2 instead of putting the full Savvy team on PSS1? Awesome, thank you. I have a question here from Delwa, who's one of our mods, one of our lead mods on the Discord. And funnily enough, you actually answered it in the PSS2 general. Is could we get a roadmap for PSS2? Awesome. Fantastic. So a couple more questions from Delwa. Any features that have just premiered in PSS2 that you may wish to bring to PSS1? But just on that, because like I say, I mean, I read the Discord and I've been reading a lot in game myself in drama. I've been popping in Tyler too in game and reading, the chats in there. Um, a lot of people have said it's like, oh well, it's like they didn't know this was early access, particularly playing on mobile, because on Steam it's very obvious it's early access, etc. But particularly on mobile, there's no definitive like announcement anywhere that it is early access, and that kind of might have swayed some people's opinion about having loaded the game and feeling, hey, this should have been a finished project, because I've just downloaded it on the phone. Having played enough mobile games in my time, I also know, it's like it's not always possible for a game to be fully developed, and even fully developed games from AAA studios never launch without bugs, etc. But it's like just that kind of expectancy from the player base is, hey, I'm playing in early access, I know there may be issues, type of thing. Yeah. I mean, just for everyone, Kildare has just posted the top 3 favorite crew in PSS1 summary. So yeah, yeah. I just saw my floodgate chatted, my chat get flooded there, and so that was Kildare. Another one from Delwak, just quickly, because I have had a few people ask me directly about this too, is do we intend to implement an API so people can make bots or sites for PSS2, much like what we have in PSS1 with Dolores, Pixel Perfect Guide, things like that? That's actually because I was going to ask about that, knowing the history with the PSS1 API, with AI sniffing bots and things like that, if that's been taken into consideration. That's really good to hear. Thank you very much. Um, Awesome. I think that, again, I'm just going to run through Delwise because he basically got a few of these off of the main channels too, because much like myself, he reads most of the channels on the Discord. But how do you feel the launch of PSS2 went, and what lessons were learned? And of course, then where do we go from here? Everything's fine. Have that as a skin for the doghouse, for the late backer pack dog. That would be really good. Um, yeah. Just from my perspective, because I actually didn't jump in on opening weekend because I've seen too many opening weekends in the past, not just from Savvy and that, but I didn't jump in. But from my first days playing to now, it's like I said, I actually just booted up Steam here. I've got Steam running, and I can now switch accounts flawlessly. It's not locking up, so that's something that's been fixed in the last few, day or so. So like I say, it's like what people don't really see, the team doing. I know you guys are working furiously in the background. I've seen you and the team on weekends and things like that. So it's like just one of the things, I think just patience a bit was one of the key things as CMs we were trying to, say to people, hey, look, we understand servers getting slammed and things like that. But even as the CM team, we learned a little bit. Basically, our Discord ticket system got overwhelmed. But that's a Discord shortfall, not a Savvy shortfall. So we had to close our Discord tickets for a bit and things like that. But just like picking up on that kind of stuff, I don't think I know, like as a user, like I say, I was a player first before I became a moderator or a CM. I don't think we really appreciated what goes on in the background on a daily basis for you all, and we do thank you for all of that. Um, Moving on to the next one. I know a few people have asked about this. Some people have already received theirs, but when will PSS1 purchases be pushed to PSS2? Okay, fantastic. Um, Okay, awesome. Question here from Anna quickly. This is something, of course, it's one of the bugbears of the PSS1 community. But will super weapons be faction locked in PSS2 like they are in PSS1? If they are locked, will players be allowed who have created an account prior to the introduction of super weapons to the PSS2 client be able to do a one-time faction swap when super weapons are released? Okay, awesome. I mean, I know the small and medium supers have kind of alleviated a lot of that issue in PSS1, which has been really good. I think they've been pretty successful. I see a lot of low-level ships running them in conjunction with their strategies and things like that. So that's been really good to see. Moving on, I don't know if I want to jump here, but here's a pretty good one though from Missile Mike, who's actually in the chat with us there. Will we get the same AI options from PSS1 into PSS2? I mean, I know a lot of the more advanced stuff is going to take a little bit of time because it's still early doors with PSS2 with the lower level ships. But are there plans to have the PSS1 options coming to PSS2 at some point? Okay. So here's one from Coldslayer, who's one of the Kickstarter backers for the game for PSS2, and I think he was also a Kickstarter on the first PSS. But will there eventually be daily sales or a dropship sort of like PSS1 that players can buy from instead of just the set gear in the 7 Mart, etc.? You know, like um, we have the dropship in PSS1 that comes across the screen, and we always have the sales on Saturday with with the top end gear, etc. Um, is that something that will eventually come into PSS2? I think what a lot of people playing PSS2 and coming across from PSS1, etc., kind of need to, like, I think just it's coming soon type of thing, soon. Uh, TM type of thing. Because just like, knowing from speaking with you all and everything like that, there's a lot planned. You just can't shove it all in at once. Otherwise, it just kind of messes things up. But I have a question here from Church on Discord, who is Straubs in game. He's actually one of the leaders, top scorers in the game at the moment in PSS2. He had a couple of questions here. The first one was time to kill is incredibly short. The majority of battles last in less than a minute, with multiple factors contributing and compounding this problem. Are there plans to address this and address the time to kill? I mean, we only have, like, on some ships, 8 HP and things like that. So there's not a lot to play with now. But like I say, once we start getting into the higher levels, much like PSS1, where even like at level 13, we've got fights that are less than 30 seconds. Are there plans to try and accommodate or balance the DPS and the TTK within PSS2? I think it's like one of the things I've seen on the Discord is where players have stated that, oh, too much nerfing or boosting, etc., doesn't give players enough chance to adapt to meta changes. But playing a lot of other competitive esports, I play Call of Duty, I play Counter-Strike 2, etc. And if something becomes too powerful, the devs have no issue in nerfing the ever living daylights out of something. It's something that, as a long-term gamer, I'm used to, but I don't know if mobile gamers are quite as adaptable in that respect. When all of a sudden their overpowered toy has been nerfed, and I see it all the time on the Discord. The players go, "Oh, we want to be reimbursed, etc., for our investment." But for me, gaming is not an investment. It's something. Once I've spent that money, I'm not getting it back. Just one of those things. But I understand that players are always concerned about that kind of thing. Um, I have a question from AK. Quickly, it's just from the Discord. But are there going to be PSS2 physical merchandise like what we have for PSS1? I know I got these for being top 50 player a few years ago. I got the pins and the bobblehead and things like that. Is that something that's being planned? More PSS1 merch would also be great. More focused on getting the game. Yeah. No, it's like I said, just from a player's perspective, I've noticed that the balance, the PvP is so much smoother. I raised an issue because I kept on getting draws on my CM ship. And I think it was the Firehawks that was doing it, because since I've had the Firehawks, I've not taken them off. I've not had an issue. But that's something myself and Drama and Tylo, we're testing the top end of everything, of all the rooms and that for everybody, and took a while to get there, type of thing. But moving on with, well, yeah, well, here's the other thing, right? Because I have my CM ship, but I also have my Kane Rizzle ship, which I basically is at level 4 at the moment. I've just maxed out all the rooms. I've got to do the armor before I level up to the next one. Hovering at about 1,300 trophies, type of thing. But just playing with it like that has been actually a really good experience for me, because then it helps me actually then answer questions and things like that. So it's really, really, really good that way. And I've noticed a market improvement over the last week even. Um, so that's been really, really good to see. Quickly, question here from Acid Guns. When the crew level up, they get random stats. Will there be a way to readjust to tailor the crew more accurately at a later date, or is this something once you've leveled them up and chosen those stats, those are set in place? Yeah. I don't think people really appreciate how far PSS1 has come from when I started playing originally to even now. Just the massive scope of the AI, the extra AI we've gotten over the last few years. I mean, I've been playing for since 2017, so going on 8 years, and just like even then, it's just like it's almost like not like a different game, but it's light years away from when I started playing. And I imagine where PSS2 is going to be the same. What people see now and experience now is going to be different, 5, 10 years down the line. Yeah. No, that's good. I have a question here from Davidus. It's about PSS2. It's actually something I've seen in game over the weekend. I've seen it on the Discord. Um, there's people who are concerned there's AI is not functioning the way they're expecting it to function, or they feel like the AI has just stopped functioning, even with the command room. Because I know in the initial weekend, people were, why is my AI not working? Well, you have to have your command room on board for your AI to work. Some specific examples he gave: if you have like AI, one, none target your laser; two, your ship above 50 target origin room, the crew will just run back and forth between those rooms without actually doing anything. It's almost like they're stuck in a loop um, between the rooms and not actually getting to the end destination of the one AR line, repairing the room before running back. But that it's an active thing addressing AI issues and things like that as we're going. I think that's like players are just like, and this is what I don't think, like players don't see what's going on in the background. You're working on weekends and things like that. Trying, reading what's going on and then trying to fix it. So it's like just so that they know that, hey, we do know what's going on. We are looking at this. That's really good to know. Missile Mike asks, and this kind of ties into the roadmap. When will more hull levels be unlocked in PSS2? Or is it like just looking at, hey, we're going to just run it like this for X amount of months before we unlock the next levels, etc., just so you can get your the technical difficulties ironed out first before moving on to that next level? Fantastic. Just with regards to ships, Delwa actually pointed it out the other day. Was the pylon, the Starcraft pylon in the Qatarian ships was a nice little Easter egg. I never noticed that until it was pointed out to me the other day. It was something nice to actually see. Um, so just moving on here, I'm going to combine these two questions basically because someone is asking, is there going to be more rush command crew in PSS2? Of course, the captains have rush. And then from ZXD, can abilities be upgraded? Like, is 100 rush possible? Is the rush mechanic from PSS1 going to be translated into PSS2 the same, or do you have different ideas for the rush ability in PSS2? All right. So here's a question from Alexiel Delacour. Do you plan on balancing the three starting factions? Katarian is the meta choice due to having both the biggest grids and the biggest combo potential. And if yes, how? And just a question from myself on that, is there plans on advertising the different combo potentials? Because I've heard about, oh, if you place your rooms in a certain area, you get certain boosts. Is there, and I haven't read anything about that anywhere, as you know, with regards to that. Are there plans to balance that, or is it kind of going to be once faction vessels become a thing, that's where you want everyone to really go? So on the points of factions, Barsikia asks, will we have more factions in the galaxy in future. As yeah, so yeah, I'm gonna move across a couple here. Just basically, um, it's about fleets within PSS2 because at the moment there's like a limit on how many people can be in a fleet. Um, fleet management fleet management is a little bit scuffed at the moment where people are, well, we can't just kick people or you have a lot of people. There's not as finite details. I mean, and even in PSS1, people always want more, more, more. But with regards to fleets, people are asking with regards to a roadmap with fleet, what, the purposes of fleets. I know, like I say, this is, fleet tournament type of thing. This is something a lot bigger that can't just be thrown in right in the beginning. But what are the plans with regards to fleets and making it easier for players to manage their fleets within PSS2? Because the communities are already building. That's been like the thing to watch already. Communities from PSS1 already coming in, but there's some new little communities building. Pirates is one of them. Things like that. It's just starting to build. So allowing them or giving them the tools to be able to develop their communities. Are you looking at what an upper limit for fleets would be? Is that something you're thinking about, having looked at what's happening, within PSS1 and things like that? What's happening in Thomas and things like that? So just looking at the chat at the moment, people asking, would it be possible to change the size of the fleet room in PSS2, particularly now as we're still in the early days of the game with the smaller holes and everything like that, fitting in a 2x6 as opposed to what, I think, is it 2x6 or 2x4? I think it's a 2x4, but as opposed to a 2x3, like what we have in PSS1. as a 2x4. I think it's one of the things. It's like even in PSS1 is you can't fit everything. You need to. Oh, you want to be in a fleet, you're going to make a sacrifice. You want your AI to run, you have to have that command room on. It's not the kind of thing. Well, I'm just going to fit in hangars now because I can get free DPS from them, like we used to have in PSS1 type of thing. So it's interesting. Like I say, those considerations are being made. Um, What about thoughts of flipping it vertically? Is that something? Yeah. But I mean, these are things, like you say, it's like making those conscious decisions to build around things, right? You're in a fleet, things like that. Can we, what are our options with regards? Because yeah, you want to use those grid spaces, like you said, quite, and I love what you actually said there, is it's a resource. It's You really have to think a bit more carefully about how you're going to Tetris your ship together to make the most out of it. So yeah, that's really good. So again, just on the fleets, people have been saying that no one can join their fleet. They've created it. They've debated on leaving and trying to make another, but really don't want to spend another 1.5 K Starbucks on that. I think like that. I mean, that's just maybe something that they need to head over. Any issues like that, head over to the Discord, to the in-game support, or mail at savvysoda.com. The CM team is always around to help, and if there is an issue, we can bring it to the dev team that they can look into it for you players. Things like that. Drama, myself, Tylo, Kuro, we're all about all the time at the moment. With those kinds of things. So if you have like issues with regards to that, please bring it to the CMs and we can try and get that solved for you. Um, the question here is, will 5-star crew members be sold directly in PSS2? Like we used to have in PSS1 in the early days, or is it something that's only going to be done through the beer draws? And then the person's asking the same question: when will Legend Crew, 7-star crew, become available? Prestige and things like that. I mean, once we hit level 10, I imagine is kind of the roadmap if we take the PSS1 logic. Okay. A quick question here is, what methods will be used to balance the online time required from players when competing for the server championship? I think this is kind of in relation to the +1 trophy grind type of thing. Are there plans, just looking at that question, are there plans to introduce something like LLPVP at a point? Or is it kind of going to be that one trophy grind? Whoever spends the most time online is going to be, top of the leaderboard. A few of the other questions here are mainly it's almost like bug related, and again, anything bug related, um, use the systems in place on the Discord for reporting bugs. PSS2 report a bug. If it's not a bug, if it's an actual account issue, the CM team is ready and waiting to help with through in-game chat or mail at savvysoda.com. Um, okay, so it's like an in-game reporting tool for bugs. Okay. Okay, so I have a quick question from I think like I say, we're just running really short on time, so we might make this the last. Yeah. There's a lot of questions. And it's really great to see so much interest in it, to be honest. I noted just the activity on the Discord has spiked massively from players jumping in and things like that. That first weekend was, the mods and the CM team were really busy on the Discord. But a quick question here, is the bridge in PSS2 working as intended? Okay, fantastic. I just want to have a look if there's any questions here quickly in the chat. Mostly talking about dumpling. Well, we reached over 20,000 users on the Discord last week. I think we used to hover at around between 17 and 19. We've now hit over 20,000. Like I said, it's been great seeing the activity and everything like that. Quick question here: are there any plans to introduce multiplayer battle gameplay in the future? Where you have multiple players in a fleet, like a fleet wars type of thing. Multiple players in a fleet taking on a specific task or anything like that. Church has a quick question. Is like, any thoughts on making changes to manual targeting in PSS2, saying players who are attacking, of course, have